last year. It was still a prototype. It was a top secret thing. So Japan, since the main headquarters, they love the Filipinos so much, so they sent us the prototypes last year, and we're already playing with it. That's why we had the earlier photos. So when it was launched last week in Tokyo, we already had photos up. First things first, the rangefinder feel to it. You know, it makes you want to shoot again.
Yes.
Definitely the speed. It's really fast compared to the XD1.
Yes.
Very big difference, and especially for my kind of work, 24.3 megapixels will really go a long way.
And I love how Fuji actually kept the form factor
Yes.
the same,
Yes.
you know, because the Xpro1 was amazing in that sense, and you know, if it's not broken, don't
Yeah.
fix it. But the additions that they put up there, like the
focus
ISO,
lever, yeah, and the ISO dial.
the ISO
It's,
dial, there's, you know, it's such great.
It's very reminiscent of the old SLR cameras.
Yes.
So when I showed Lito the unit, because I got it first with Rommel and Zan, so I told Lito, oh, the unit's here. And I said, like, can you still do the ISO things? Of course, it's ASA. So if you
great.
say ASA, it means you're a seasoned photographer.
Okay, so I will use ASA now. And the joystick on the back of that camera is actually such a joy to use. You know, at first I was thinking, is this a gimmick, or you know, what is it gonna feel like? It actually is amazing to use.
It took a while for us to actually be used to it, because we're so used to pressing down and then changing the focus point. So up until like we were in Japan, we were using it every day. Okay, it's a lot easier because this time, from one focus point, you can actually diagonally transfer to another one. And from 43, we have 77 focus points.
And you can do that all while looking through that amazing hybrid viewfinder. Well, I've been playing around with this for 2 days now, and just earlier today I picked up my XD1, and for some reason I was looking for the joystick. So it's a great addition. I think everyone who picks up this unit is gonna take to that. What about the Rommel and Lito? What about you guys? What are you loving about the Xpro2? The Xpro2.
The Xpro2, well, as a wedding photographer, I've been shooting a lot of low light situations. So with this new X-Trans 3, they offer like a 12,800 ISO. So amazingly, still sharp. Because my problem before, when I was shooting the XT1, I can shoot at 12,800. But now it's totally different. And I even like the size of the resolution, which is 24.3 megapixel.
Yeah.
And one thing that I like also is the electronic shutter. When I'm shooting weddings, I'm not so obtrusive with kids. Sometimes I'm shooting ring bearers and flower girls, and you don't even hear anything from the camera.
Yeah, that's amazing. Actually, you know, when they say that it is a usable 12,000, 12,800 shutter speed, it actually really
No, the ISO.
ASA. It's actually really true. You know, a lot of times you hear, you know, camera companies claiming that it's got usable 6400 or what have you. When you look at it in actuality, okay, whatever, it's an image, but it's extremely grainy. To your, you know, most standards, it's really not really useful. It's noisy. Well, okay, film photographer grainy. Okay, it's noisy. But here I did test it, and it was definitely usable. And Rommel, what about you?
Picture. Okay. Me naman is about the optical viewfinder. It's the hybrid one. So I normally shoot with my optical, but most of the time, like, Lito is more of the low light. Ako naman more of the bright sun. So it's really hard to shoot on a bright sun using your DSLR with your optical. But with Fuji, you can shift from optical to electronic, where you can shoot direct through the viewfinder, shooting against the sun. That's 7 o'clock. By the way, this is not sunset. This is sunrise. This is about 7 in the morning. No, 7 in the morning, shooting against the sun. It's really hard using your DSLR.
Well, you know, my experience actually, that's true. With an optical viewfinder, I actually use mine when I'm in the beach. I like to take pictures of my kids in the beach, and I'm one of those that like to shoot at an f2 all the time. So that plus the electronic shutter at 3200, it becomes, you know, you can shoot someone noontime sun, f2, it's
F2, yes.
possible. It's possible to shoot, and you know, truth be told, when you're in the beach and you've got that glaring sun and all those reflections, the electronic viewfinder sometimes is completely useless. You need an optical, and then you can use your camera. So these are great additions that Fuji has put into the F-Pro2, which makes this camera just like tremendously much better, especially than the X-Pro1, which was, you know, a 4-year-old camera. All right, you know, another thing that I love that they just launched is the little X70. You know, when news came out that the X70 was created, I read the reviews and I said, damn, this is a really great camera. But obviously because of the Xpro2, it was a bit overshadowed. But Xyza, you've gotten to, you know, use this camera. I think it is a great camera. What is your experience with it?
I trust this camera so much. I shot an entire assignment in Abu Dhabi using this. I mean, it's an assignment, you know. And aside from it's cute, just like me, it allows me to shoot the subjects without them knowing it at all. And it's really fast. It can produce a professional quality with this size. It's amazing. It's one of the best actually.
This photo that Xyza shot with the X70 is actually printed about that size in Tokyo. So even with this small camera, you could produce beautiful images with that quality, that size.
And another thing is I'm very particular with the prints because I do exhibits. So that one is shot with a JPEG compressed to 200K because I forgot to, you know, I resized it. So I gave it to them in a very small file, but they were able to print it that big, and it's still beautiful. So
that is amazing. Yeah, so it just goes to show you do not need those, you know, really big, you don't need a very big camera to produce great results. Yes?
Can I add something about the Xpro2? Remember the shot being displayed there with the prenuptial shoot with Wendy and Norman? This is my very first shoot with the Xpro2. And if you notice, the original picture of those their picture under the tree, it was so dark. And I tried exposing the shadow side underexposed because I want to capture the sky at the same time, right? So one nice thing with this camera is the exposure latitude of the shadow side is very, very nice. Plus 4. It's like, but I'm a JPEG user. I took that picture using JPEG and you can see it right there, printed in 20x30. The quality is really, really nice.
Yes, that's what I noticed also at Fuji is that, you know, it's nice to have raw, but the JPEGs that come out of a Fuji camera is just mind-blowingly good. And as they've mentioned, you can have these gorgeous prints made, giant size, which, you know, not that many people, unless you're going to do a gallery, you don't really need to print that big, but if you wanted to, you can absolutely do it with a Fuji camera. So I've had a little bit of experience with the X70. You know, I think this is a great camera for the consumer market because it's so small. And if you're going to be shooting street, nobody's going to take, you know, they're not going to notice. Very inconspicuous. You know, you're not going to be in anyone's faces, yet you get just such amazing quality. And that's like, okay, come on, that selfie screen, that is great.
Just to add also, the X70 piece of trivia, because 2 nights before we left Tokyo, we had dinner with Kawahara-san. He is what we would consider the father of the mirrorless revolution because he was the inventor of the X100. So technically the X70 is the grandchild of the X100, having the 100S, the 100T, and the X70. If you look at my Instagram account right now, I just posted a photo of the X70. It also comes with a viewfinder that you could slide on the hot shoe, so it kind of gets that red dot feel. And I won't say the brand. So it's really nice. So it's really compact, and you have a viewfinder with a small camera, and it's the first X series camera that's touchscreen. So
And it's a great touchscreen, actually. It works. So
It's also very good for selfies.
that's what I mean. It's great for selfies. And, you know, like both cameras, Xpro2 and the X70, they both have Wi-Fi built into them, so you can take a really great selfie and put that straight on Instagram. And another camera that was launched is the Xe2s, which Jan has had a lot of time with as well. What do you like about it? What do you like about it that is different from obviously the Xe2?
Well, it's like this. It's easier to understand if I explain to you. There are so many X's already. You're gonna get confused. You have the XT1 and then younger brother, the XT10.
Yes.
Right? So we have the Xpro2, and then this is the younger brother, the Xe2s. It's still rangefinder, has everything except it's streamlined. So it's the AF is really quick. So that's what I love about it. It's really quick.
Yes, and that's been such a popular model that, obviously, all the consumers are like, you've got to have another one, like, do not kill this line, it's a great camera. And obviously, it's been around, the XE line has been around for how many years now? 4 years?
4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, so, that's a testament to how great this camera is, and I'm sure this newest one with the updated innards, basically, all those additional things is going to make, this camera such a hot seller as well. And I want to also talk about this great lens, which is the XF100 to 400. Lito, what can you say about it? How do you use this lens?
Well, I've been longing for this kind of lens ever since because I only have the 50 to 140 mm, which is like equivalent to 210, the maximum focal length. But this time it's 400 mm, so and in wedding photography, sometimes you don't have to be very close to the subjects. Like you're capturing moments like father, brothers, or mother crying, and you're really somewhere there taking pictures. And this is one really great camera. It's really, really light. It's only 1.4 kilogram. Unlike to my other brand that I've been using before, this was like 1.6 kilogram.
Okay, that's
So
a
that's
big
difference,
that's
right?
a big difference.
And it has like 14 elements in 16 elements in 17, 21 elements.
More and more.
That was the other brand. There's 21 elements in 14.
Of which shall not be named.
Yeah, in 14 groups. Imagine that. 21
So the quality
elements.
definitely
Yes, in 14
is.
groups. And they added like 5 ED lens and one super ED lens. So that to remove and improve the chromatic aberration when you're using a super telephoto lenses.
So needless to say, this is now definitely in your little wedding
Definitely
kit.
will be one of the gadgets I'll be using. I hope that the Fujifilm president is listening right here now. I have a wedding tomorrow actually. So
Ready on the camera. You
first
might as
wedding.
well. Aside from wedding photographers, who do you see using this lens?
Sports photographers, bird photography, what else? Wild, yeah. Wild though.
Just look at, if you guys are on Instagram, look at Lito's feed. Because when we were in Japan, he had photos of eagles, whatsoever, crows, birds, and whatnot that you might see on the Instagram using that lens. Do you have the photo? Yeah. We have sample shots using them because we were going around Tokyo and doing street photography, travel photography, but Lito actually
The only one
brought, yeah, it was, because
using a wide
Wide.
lens, and I'm the only one using this one. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm carrying a very heavy lens.
So you
Actually,
look
it's
like
not heavy at all.
they look like street photographers.
Yeah, and
You
I
look
look
like
like a
paparazzi.
photojournalist, right?
You just look like.
But when they look at my shots, it's like, wow, it's so different because all of their shots are wide, and mine is really tight, like focusing on things that I can shoot from afar. So it's
No,
totally
definitely,
different.
you
So
know,
do you have it, Glenn? The pictures I gave to you, in a USB file? No, you don't have it. Anyway, yeah, because I just wanted to show them the shots I took in Japan, where there are these Japanese people wearing tangas, you know. And then, and I was just like crazy enough to take a very different kind of shot. It's there. That's the one. That's the one. That was a Ferris wheel. It's a Ferris wheel. When we were very, very far, and I can imagine I can take a picture from very far with that close. You can even zoom it in and you can see the person inside the carousel. Imagine that. If you're like trying to capture like someone dating your wife.
Okay, I would travel with you now.
Good.
That's amazing.
Okay.
And the color.
The color is really nice.
The color that
No,
comes up.
Glenn, the other one, the Japanese guy. You don't have it?
Oh my goodness.
It's there. So I was at
The butt photos are on Instagram.
the butt photo is very inspiring.
The back?
Butt.
Oh, the butt.
The butt of the Japanese. The in thing.
I thought you captured the back.
Like all the details, the butt, you know.
Oh my goodness.
It's not there.
Well, that's great. So obviously this lens is something that a wildlife photographer, you know, birding, a sports photographer, and wedding photographer can use. Any more words you guys want to talk about? Any more experiences and tidbits, things you love about?
When I got the Xpro one 4 years ago, one of the reasons why I love that was, like what they said, the film simulation, you know. Since Fuji has been making film since the beginning, they were able to incorporate the films and make it into ones and zeros. And it's the first time that, because when I was still shooting film, aside from Velvia, my favorite film was Neopan. And now they've added the Neopan Acros film simulation. So the black and whites with the Xpro2 are really nice. I think one photo using the Acros with San Pinto is exhibited outside. So you could actually see the gradation of the black and whites, the tonalities. It's really good.
And you know, before I close this, you know, another thing that they've added on the Xpro2 is the grain effect.
Yes, the
Which
grain
I love.
effect.
I really, really love that. I think it really looks like the film grain, not noise, grain. It does capture that. So I want to, you know, you guys have heard from the ex-photographers and Glenn earlier. Oh, okay. So apparently they found the USB and they're gonna show some photos. But I want to ask you guys, you know, think of questions. If you have any questions, all the photographers are up on stage and they can answer your questions. Sorry, they're, oh my gosh.
That's what you want to see.
Okay.
Selfie muna. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you notice that guy wearing the tanga came in his face. And then he turned around like, the next shot. What's the next shot? There's a festival, I don't know what festival that was, but sinensor data ng ano eh, tinanggal. Nandyan pa? MTRCB, not that one. Just a close-up shot. Yeah. See those things there? That's really, really sharp. So, you can zoom it in. But for them, that's art.
For who?
For the Japanese people.
That's art?
Yeah. Tanga, the
Polka
latest
dot art.
fashion thing in Japan.
Oh, I got the polka dots with the art. Oh my god. Okay, so do you guys have any questions for all these photographers up here on stage? Now's the time to ask if you're interested in any of the cameras. Yes, please.
Hello, this is Ted Claudio from whatsapp.ph. I just have a question regarding the X70. Kawara-san, the designer of the X100, in the previous press con, he mentioned that according to research, 35mm is one of the best focal length. It's very versatile. So I was wondering why in the X70, like the X100, they didn't do the 35mm. Instead, they did the 28mm.
Okay, 35mm is actually the perfect lens, since the human eye, if our eyes were lenses, it would be 35mm. Our point of view is actually 35mm. Well, aside from price point to bring it down to make the X70 cheaper, it actually comes with a new wide conversion lens that would convert it into a 35 also. So it's an option. But I think since it's a 2.8 lens and we already have the 35 lens for the Xpro2, they kind of wanted something a bit wider. So because sometimes 35 for street is a bit tight. But it also comes with a conversion lens, and I think the best part also, the X70 has a digital zoom that you could use. So if you still want to utilize 35mm, you still have 35mm.
I asked for it. That's why they got.
Yeah, we listen for photographers.
Yeah, because I've been telling them that 35 is too tight for me. So I was like, see? That's how much
Just imagine.
You know, I also think that it's more helpful because they incorporated the selfie in the selfie touch screen. At 35, you'll be a little too close, but at 28, you can actually get more people in the photo. So I think that was a good idea on Fuji's part. And also because there's already the X100, right? So if you needed a 35, you can get the X100, one of the X100 lines.
Yeah, just a follow-up question.
Yeah, just a follow-up question. Are there any disadvantages when it comes to like digital zooming or the digital mechanism of zooming it from 28 to 35 to 50? Does the resolution change at all in the final output or not?
Honestly, no. That's the best thing about Fuji. The files of Fujifilm is the best files you can ever have. And I've tried other cameras aside from Fuji before. And I can say that I'm very much content with the files that they're giving me because I'm very particular on that part. So zoom or not, it's still the same. The files are awesome.
We have a question here. How shock-proof are Fuji cameras? Rommel, the street photographer.
Actually, hindi sa street ko nagamit. Shockproof. Bumagsak. So far, hindi ko pa nababagsak ang camera. Pero I was able to bring this camera, the XT1, sa Nepal. No? I was climbing for 10 days. Snow, umulan. So, walang problema with me. With two bodies with me, maybe I can show that on my FPPF workshop, the video I have.
In Japan, we had an experience also. One of our isang kasama namin sa Japan, nahulog yung XT10. Awa ng Diyos, hindi naman niya binayaran kasi okay pa rin. And aside from that, the XT1, aside from being weather resistant, and the Xpro2, they're also made out of magnesium, so it shouldn't be a problem. And sometimes for me, if you check in your media kits, there's a photo of an Xpro2 that's been weathered out. Gas-gas, lahat. And it looks really nice, you know. It's like from a seasoned photographer, it's a weathered camera. It really goes well with the rangefinder feel to it. So shockproof, I think it's not a problem. So
I think I can answer that question because when I'm shooting weddings, I use the XT1, right? So, and if you notice that I'm the product ambassador of the Spider holster, okay? So there was one time when I was shooting weddings and then I forgot to lock my the Spider thing. So it fell down and I was like, oh